A very warm welcome, all of you, this afternoon to another action-packed session. Monster RecRoute is an initiative by Monster.com to connect leaders in the HR and recruitment space with aspirational TA professionals through a series of live webinar sessions. The idea is to share the learnings, trends, and best practices to empower and enable them to keep up with the fast-changing recruiting industry. Well, no matter how many candidates you have hired and how much you have honored your skills, but the fact is recruiting is challenging, especially in times like these when you have to meet your hiring targets faster without compromising on the quality of the hires. Well, so what's the secret sauce of hiring? Is recruiting an art of science? Well, to talk more on this topic, let me introduce Samir Kukade, Director, Navigate HR, Consultants, CHRO, on the call, and Consultant Leap2excel Consulting. Samir is an industry veteran with over 3 decades of experience. He has done exemplary work in the area of talent management and development, people organization, transformation, organization development work, collective bargaining, and successfully handled labor issues in his career. Through his visionary leadership and unique skill set, he has contributed significantly to his organizations as value-adding HR business leader. Samir is recipient of Pune's Top HR Leader by World HRD Congress and HR Gaurav Puraskar by Vibrant HR organization in 2017. He was fortunate to work with industry giants like Kirloskar, Brinton's Carpet, Leo Corporation, and Traj Industries Limited, among others. He worked in head HR or CHRO capacity for over 15 plus years. And what's really fascinating about Samir's designation is that he acts as Chief Human Resource Officer on call for organizations, and that find it difficult to have a full-time CHRO. He has been helping companies with executive search, growth, and transformation through people initiatives. Welcome to RecRoute, Samir. Over to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Noel, for introduction and an opportunity Monster has given me to express my thoughts and what I have learned in my profession so far, sharing with my fellow professionals. So it's really exciting to be here. Thank you very much. Before we really start and understand hiring, hiring is the one word, but then there are different avatars in hiring as a word or activity. And I'm going to talk about all this, but then before I would like to know that who are on the call. So I appeal all, if you can, in the chat box, if you can put your city and your country, that would be very helpful. So while talking, I can give some references related to that. So I request people to really put in chat box their location. Yeah, Gurgaon, India, Pune, Ahmedabad, Chennai, Jaipur, Bangalore, yeah, Hong Kong, Philippines, Manila, Ahmedabad, Malaysia, Lebanon. Great. I think we have people from all parts of the regions, and it's really exciting to have a dialogue with you all. And I would like to now start with my briefing. Welcome to you all. As I said, that there are different avatars of this particular activity. Some may say recruitment, some may say hiring, some may say talent acquisition. If you talk about talent search, few people talk about talent assessment and selection. But then let me tell you that when you choose a particular avatar for this activity, it shows how you're looking at this activity as well. And traditionally, we have been reading a very, very theoretical kind of a definition. It's a right person at a right place. But then more than that, I would like to say that there are many more aspects related to that, which affects your hiring, how fast you're doing, at the same time, how rightly you are doing the recruitment. And the kind of different aspects are like right person with the right skills is something which is very obvious. But then are you looking at the right mindset? Right time. It is very important that the person comes in at a right time, not before, not after. Then it is called a right hiring or talent acquisition. At the right cost. We all have budgets to manage. And then right cultural fit. I think it is becoming more and more important because we are diverse in our workforce. People are into the company from the different parts of the globe. So from cultural fit point of view, it's the value system of the person is very important for us. And from that, I would say it's a more of a cultural fit and nothing to do with the country culture. And the last and but very important thing, what I perceive as an important and critical part of hiring is the person needs to have a right passion. And that's why I always see that whether person is giving an interview or coming into the selection process for a job or for career. And there is a obvious difference in job and career. But recruitment or hiring is being challenging for all of us all the time, and it has become more critical in current scenario when at least in India you can see a lot of job hoppings are happening. People go for job offer shopping. People are having 3, 4 offers in hand, and still they give the interview and see what best I can get as a salary, as a facilities or company and brand name. Then people are candidates are talking about work from home, and they insist most of the time that we would like to have a scenario of work from home. If you're not giving this facility, then we might not join you. That is the kind of conditions they put. Then we have a lot of compensation demands because of this job offers people have in hand. So how to manage the parity concept in compensation? Then it's a candidates market currently. It's in boom. So the flexibility is not offered in terms of compensation, in terms of levels and all other things. Then we have a diversity guidelines. So it's walking on the tightrope and being a function where we are really going for the search. It becomes very, very important. Last point, which always we ignore in a hiring manager, actually we should advise as a talent acquisition professional, that skill you would like to buy or you would like to build. So that is also one aspect, and which I'm going to cover into the when I'm going to talk about hiring fast as a art and science. So in this scenario, how we need to manage it best, speed as well as quality, and both are important. You must have heard the concept of customer satisfaction. Here the customer is internal. Cost, quality, and delivery. All three aspects are important in customer satisfaction. And in recruitment also, you can vouch for that. You need to hire with the quality, the right delivery at the right time, and cost you have to maintain. So that's something which is something which we have to all the time watch. If you see, When we talk about art, you are managing the art, hiring as an art, and art has got some connotations attached to that, and I'm going to talk about that. Then I'm going to talk about science also, how it can be seen as a science, and then I'm going to give tips around what kind of activities you can follow in the in hiring process, so then you can make it faster as well as qualitative activity. So when we talk about the hiring fast as an art, or hiring right is an art, first and important aspect, I think that is a responsibility of talent acquisition professional is employer branding. Communication department or the communication head, they talk about the company, but then when we are talking about targeting future employees, the potential candidates in the market, the employee branding becomes very important. What to project? We would like to talk about employer as a fair employer, equal opportunity employer, or we are safe workplace to work at, or we are giving the best facilities, we are giving right compensation, or what you would like to, as what is your USP? I think that's something which is a very, very important in employer branding. And if you choose a right branding recipe, I think you can definitely attract future potential employees to your organization in a big way. Then secondly, most of the time that we work with the job description, but then we miss to really have a dialogue with hiring manager, and that is something which is a very important point. How to take a crux, what the hiring manager or his or her grandparent or parent is looking for. What is the expectation? What are their expectations about the person who needs to come on board? I think mapping those will definitely an art where we need to really catch what they are looking for. Right design of an employee referral. I tell you, employee referral is taken sometimes as why we would like to, but then you are putting the whole company, those who are making the referrals for your organization. If you have a right design, you have a right attractive reward for employee referral. I think you have so many messengers in a market where you can attract people. So, and you don't need to sell your company, because those people those employees, existing employees will do that for you. So they will talk about good things about the company. They will caution the new person also how to follow the values of the organization, and makes your job easier. So design is something which is very important in employee referral, and if you design that, and that is something which makes the point very, very important for you. Then finding right companies to target. When you are asking the hiring manager that what kind of a candidate you are looking for, please do ask what kind of a companies you are targeting for. It may not be competition, but it may be different companies where you'd like to get the right skill. And for that, finding those, I think nowadays social media is playing a big role in getting better network. And if you have a right network in terms of LinkedIn, in terms of Facebook, in terms of Instagram, I think you can use social media in very, very different way to really reach out to people and talk about your organization, what you are doing currently, and attract potential employees. One thing is challenging for us, because nowadays what is happening that people are going to CV writers. They go to CV writer, they give the information, and professional CV writers give excellent CV for you. They will write good amount of rich kind of a words in your CV, and that will make attractive CV. But then as a recruiter, as a hiring manager, or as a talent acquisition person, you need to know where it is exaggerated, or it's a rightly mentioned what he or she has done in his or her career. And that's something reading, correlating the experience as well as the words. I think that is the art which you need to develop by going through the CVs. And of course, nowadays there is a lot of artificial intelligence is used for screening. So putting right words, giving the right inputs for programming to screen the CVs is something which you gather from your skill set, your experience, and whatever you have so far seen doing the recruitment in good way. Managing hiring manager. Managing hiring manager, managing process time is very critical, because you have that time. You need to turnaround time is very important in this process. At the same time, if the hiring manager is very tough, he do not want to compromise on a single point what he or she is looking for. It makes the whole thing more difficult. So managing expectations from candidate, managing expectations of hiring manager, and then giving the full justice to the process. I think managing these three would be very, very important for us to very, very clearly into. Noel, can you put slides on the screen which I'm talking about?
Sure, sir. Certainly, I'll do that.
Yeah, so it's the content is not on slides, but at least the areas we are talking about will come on the screen.
Sure, sir. And would you like to run the poll before that, or would you like me to put up the slides for you?
No, you can put the slide. No problem. Okay. That turnaround becomes very important. So how you can manage that is something which is an art, and that you have to learn very quickly to get everybody on the board quickly to manage the process time. Otherwise, we lose the relevance of that position after some time. Okay, then two more aspects which are called as a hiring is an art is a salary negotiation. I think in current scenario, salary negotiation is being bit of a one-sided tilting, because candidates are very, very much demanding in current situation, and talent is in crunch. So, but managing in budgets, and I would suggest that you have to keep minimum steps. When you are talking about compensation, you can't keep on negotiating by offering something very less and then going ahead. I think you need to be very clear with the candidate that whatever I am going to offer is something which is final, and that is something which you can't negotiate. Otherwise, that becomes a non-ending process of negotiating with the candidates all the time. And then there is a concept called job or offer shopping. As you all know, many of the people are from the IT, and it is very, very much prevalent in IT that people are having 3 or 4 offers and still they go. And we also, as an employer or as a talent acquisition professional, we also go for person who is on the notice period, because we can get the person quickly on the board. But there is a pitfall into the whole process, because you never know that whether person will finally join you or somebody else when he is having a job offer in hand. So person who is actually having a offer in his or her hand and still giving an interview to you, it's a signal to you that the person might ditch you as well. I'm trying to do one experiment in this area where legally it would be very difficult for a candidate to really ditch you at the last moment. That experiment is in process. I think in next 3 to 4 months, I will have some testimony for that, and then I can make it public that how we can do in this area to really avoid no-shows at the last moment. And I come to now the hiring as how it can be seen as a science. And that's something is also critical for us in our talent acquisition function. What is that? First is that how are we using psychometric profiling tools? There are many psychometric profiling tools available. Very high-ended, high-end psychometric tests like Hogan, Thomas profiling, and then you get plethora of different tests available. But then what you would like to really see in the person, that can be decided on the what kind of a psychometric profiling you would like to do. And trust me, if you use this psychometric profiling for support, it cannot be a filter, but it can be a good support in getting the person's in-depth knowledge. That will be really help for all of us to screen the person in much better way. You have to see whether you would like to see as a cultural fit, then individual attribute you would like to see, the job requirement versus person's mindset, then mental toughness, because there are some jobs where a lot of stress is involved. And then for leadership role, people management, and various aspects related to the person's personality, we need to decide and pick what is important for us. What kind of a profiling will help me to really filter the person? Because many times it happens that we have found out one or two candidates, but we need to really see who will join us, which company's role is really helping him or her to also get into that job, and all the things related to the job fitment for that person. So we can do that. Then secondly, you need to dig more about the value system of the candidate also. And that is something which you need to really ask the questions related to person, and that correlation of his or her answer and what your company's requirement is very important. Hiring is not matchmaking. We have to really see whether values of the person who is coming on the board is relevant to the organization, at the same time supporting to the organization. And that is something which is very critical for us to manage. And that can be done by having a very clear and open dialogue with the person. Chemistry of assessment are having a lot of variables. These are having technical as well as behavioral both. So if you ask me, domain expertise is definitely, we have a job description in front of us. We have a job specifications we take from the hiring manager, and then we see whether the person is having a domain expertise. And that's something is very critical for the job to do. Then secondly, the interviewing skills are very important for person who are sitting into the interview thing. Let me tell you that few companies, or you might be using the recorded interview. You ask some questions on the web-based tool, and then candidate is supposed to give the answers, and then that interview is seen, and then based on that we select the person whether you'd like to really meet the person or not. But then asking the right questions in pre-recorded interviews or post screening interviews is very important. That can be based on the competencies, JDs, or job specifications, and that will be helpful in screening the person in more accurately. Then what kind of a the person he is or she is, and whether that person would be right for the environment I think you have to really judge as a talent acquisition person, because hiring manager, when he or she is interviewing, the person will see whether his domain knowledge is not there or not. But then as a hiring person or a professional, I think we can understand whether he's a right cultural fit or not, whether that person would fit into the organization as well as that function very well. Then the person's stability, you always see the CVs having stability, and stability differs generation to generation. Maybe 15 years back, 5 years was the good stability. Then in last few years, it has become 3 years as a stability. So if person is spending average 3 years in the organization, or job tenure is average 3 years, he or she used to be called stable in his career. Nowadays, 2 years is also a luxury. People change the job in 2 years because they would like to learn new things, and they would like to really do the things in much faster way than the earlier generation. So you need to really see whether the person coming in is going to add value for those 2 years, because if you look at only the tenure, then you might lose on the value add the person is going to do. So you have to really judge the stability versus value add that person is going to do. Then you have to see that whether person has got a job clarity when we are interviewing him or her. So that you can talk about what kind of a job. If I want to give some examples, you can give this during the interview. Then you need to be having a lot of realistic expectations from the candidate, because when we go in a market, when we are looking at the different candidates and profiles, you are rational maybe, but then hiring manager wants a person who is having all these skills available, and he is the last solution for that particular job. And I think it's our responsibility to have a making the complete expectations in the realistic way for the candidate as well as the hiring manager. Then when we are looking at the internal candidate, I'm going to talk about one example also in that. Like when we see somebody for the role, we have to see whether the person is having performance history as a high performer or a good performer in that area. But then there is a way that what kind of a potential that person is having. And I believe that this psychometric test will help you to explore that aspect of the personality. Then matching the psychology background of the interview or outcome of the interview. I think marrying all this is something which is a science, because what psychological outputs are given through the psychometric, then your observations during the interview about the person's behavior, and the opinion from the hiring manager who is a part of the interview, and matching all these three things and giving your very candid feedback is very important. And that is something which I would say that is a critical thing for talent acquisition professionals. You will say, Samir, you are talking about all the other aspects related to the behavioral, but let me tell you that behavioral mindset, ability to comprehend his or her abilities is very critical for the success. So that becomes very important. And one more aspect which is slightly goes into the gray area, that what's the personal background is, what are his personal aspirations, personal background, experience. Because even if we say that person is professional, it doesn't come at workplace carrying the personal life. Always there is a impact of personal life on the profession. And in fact, I have learned one technique called top grading interviewing. which is described in a book called GA Smart, that talks about understanding the person's background completely, and we have used in senior level hiring. And there the interviews are not less than 2 hours, and we understand the person's development even from the childhood, how the things are. It can be controversial, it can be, but then if the candidate is agreeing to that, it's worthwhile at a senior level to do that, because then you can really understand the person's motivation levels, aspirations, skill set, and how the person has acted in different situations in his or her way. So that also becomes very important. So all these things makes very clear selection criteria when you are looking at it. And that's why I'm saying I have not touched so far how you can make the thing faster. But then hiring right is something which is very clear. And hiring, if you don't hire right, then you might end up in hiring again and again for the same positions. And you must have experience, I have experience in my career, that few positions are like susceptible for rehiring all the time. So I have seen particular position, I recruit somebody after 1 year, second year, third year, every time the person is going and then I'm hiring for the same position, because, and we have to understand why in this situation. And from that perspective, I'm saying hiring right is something which is art and science, and we have to really combine while doing so. There are some examples where we can see it's, while analyzing those cases, it's a mix of art and science, and we had to see very differently. But then finally we had to make a perfect food recipe for a hiring manager and get the right person on the job. Nothing more, nothing less. And that's how we can do it. And I tell you, while I'm going to give 2 or 3 examples in this, it becomes very important for us to look at these experiences as value add and then take the right decision at right time. I'll give example how it matters. Like I was taking one application engineering head for my organization, and he gave an interview. He was one of the he was from the company which was one of the customers in past, but then we had a lot of debate on that, whether we should hire from the customer, and that is something which we finally decided we'll hire him. And then we gave an offer to him, and we said that you need to join in these many days and all. But that guy was very apprehensive about the whole hiring. So he was not making up his mind really to join or not. He was in dual mind. So he was asking too many questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 days passed. And then my hiring manager or the talent acquisition manager connected with one person who was available, who left the job and he was available, and we interviewed this guy. And we immediately found that he's more right fit for that person. And we finally gave him an offer. He joined in 1 week's time. So people don't understand, the candidates don't understand that taking a time from their side also can be a problem. And we getting the right feel whether the person is comfortable or not comfortable is also important from our point of view. And if we take a fast decision in this scenario, if we wait for that, we would have waited for the person for long. We would have lost the person finally, because we were understanding he's not very comfortable to join. So we took the right decision at the right time, and the person came on board, and then he took over the function very swiftly. Then never start the process unless you are sure. And I realized that while I was doing a CEO role for one of the subsidiary company, and we went for the hiring. We interviewed many people. Many people were having that kind of experience. So CEO experience, having multiple function experience, like person has worked in sales, operations and all. It was there. But then we were looking for specific background, and we kept on interviewing more than 8 to 10 people. And for the CEO role, I think that is something which is a bit more number. But then finally, we when we saw 10 people, we thought, no, I think it's better to go for an internal candidate. And that the whole effort of searching people, interviewing 10 people, went completely west, and we took the decision of. So if we would have given a thought on internal candidate first, I think we would have saved the money as well as the time. But that is something which is important. So you need to really ask whether we have a person internally, and then we can hire somebody in his or her place. Then it makes a sense that we are going. The critical position is filled. At the same time, we are hiring for somebody else where we can put right specs and get the person from outside, and we get a internal candidate who is knowing the complete challenging situation of the organization when we are doing this. So and the last example I have, that we were doing one CXO level hiring, and we talked to many people. But when the final interview was with headquarters in outside the country, they found that he's not fit from the cultural fitment point from their aspect, not from country perspective. And we maybe while doing that, we ignored that aspect, that how he would go with this country, but then whether it will be seen on a global level, whether in a similar way or not, we didn't. And that person, after spending his time for the process, we spend a lot of time, we had to go for some another candidate. So all these examples gave me a learning that we had to be very, very alert, and we had to really understand how things can change in this hiring process, and we need to be very, very clear about the kind of requirements we have. So if you ask me the tips for hiring fast and hiring right, so we have talked a lot on hiring right, hiring speedily. I think most important thing which we are understanding, but then we need to be very clearly visible for the target group. And employer branding is very important on job portals for sure, websites, website of the company, and social media. And in some areas we are having events also, and we are tilting towards more electronic media after COVID, especially. We can make use of those events also. So we need to reach out, and today's youth is completely on social media, and I think exploiting social media platform 100% or using social media would be a great thing to have employer branding. And instead of you approaching people will start approaching you. And that's why companies' website and website having a careers page is very critical for the company. As I said, you need to have a strong employer referral. The moment you have a position, if you put it on an employee referral program, you can get good amount of references which are more convinced about the role, more convinced about the organization. So you'll get it faster because there is a monetary attraction for employees also to earn more through this. So that is the second thing. Third thing, as I discussed in various examples, that expectations setting is very important. When there are 2 or 3 people are involved into the selection process, we need to have a very clear expectation setting paper from all stakeholders. Otherwise, we will waste time interviewing many people and not finally selecting somebody. Define sourcing specs. JD is okay. JD is something which will definitely will give you the domain expertise required. But then other specs, like what kind of a person you are looking for, what kind of an industry you are looking for, what kind of a skill set, niche skill set you are looking for, what kind of a person you are looking for, cultural fit. All these things, I think more and more you specs you put it on the paper, agree with all stakeholders, it will really save your time. And as I said, apart from JD, apart from job specifications or specs, if your company is having competency framework, maybe it's good to have a agreement with stakeholders on what kind of a competencies you are looking at. So then all questions in interview can be rounded with the competency related questions, and it is also called competency based interviewing. So that will give you better opportunity to select the person who is closer to the required competency. As I said, you can use a screening methodology to start with. Even the psychometric testing many companies do before as a screening methodology when you are hiring people, and that will reduce the people who you are not looking for. A particular, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and the requirement they were talking about in our organization, the patience is very important. And if patience is not there, then the person might fail in his or her job. So patience becomes a very important quality, and that we have to see. Use optimum structure for your interview panel. Don't add people for interviewing just for sake of interviewing. You need to have experts and you need to have decision makers. Many of the organizations put 3 or 4 rounds of interviews, and it takes a lot of time to really finalize somebody for the position. You need to very clear that how many interview rounds you are going to have. And it should be very clear when you are taking an interview, yes or no. No hold scenarios. If you have a no hold scenario, then you will be able to close your positions faster. And nowadays, when we are working with the different software HRIS, it's very clear that we need to have that either you say yes or no, because we don't get time to get together and take a decision about the person. So that is very important. Agreement on lead time, the service level we need to define. As a talent acquisition person, you need to really see that how many days are required for what. And once you optimize your lead time from your side, you agree that with your hiring manager. Otherwise, and even for the once we have a profiles, sometimes hiring managers doesn't have a time. He has got a projects to manage, he has got a problems to solve, and then person is not available for the interviews for a long time, and then you might lose the candidates in the scenario. So managing time, you need to have a service level agreement with your hiring manager. Last but not least is be narrator for every stage as a conclusion. You need to conclude on every stage, and you need to keep everybody posted on that. So otherwise, it becomes very difficult to manage the time. So if you are concluding, you'll get the response from your other stakeholders, including candidates. So once you have a continuous communication, then that can be managed in better. And the last system or a process we need to follow is strong employee verification system. And if you are in the last but not kind of a level of interviewing, then you can start the employee verification also for the potential employee. Then it will save your time. You'll get a confirmation whether the person is really good. And I'm not talking about the verification nowadays. Employee verification, background verification is done by the companies, but then you need to really see if you can find out some important points from his past employments through your network. And it will be informal one, but you'll get. So the employee background verification will happen after the person joins. But if you can do that through your networking, that will be more reliable and more helpful for the person's hiring. So these are the tips for hiring fast. There would be many ways. Nowadays, you can use technology as a tool to reduce the hiring time. You loading different CVs on the system and getting the feedback on a particular agreed time is also important, and then arranging the interviews. And one more thing that we don't get a time from the hiring managers to get the interview slots, and that's why the person struggle, or a talent acquisition professional struggle to get really process completed on that front. I think for that, working very closely with the hiring manager on all these points becomes very, very important. So one side is hiring right, so you get a right talent for the organization, and hiring fast is for the function, not to lose out on the relevance to the position at the same time that person is available for the job or the project in time. These are the different aspects related to hiring fast and right, and I believe that if you follow these tips related to hiring right and hiring fast, I think you'll definitely get benefit out of this process, and this is something which will help you to make your personality, your competence, your sharper for hiring professionals. Okay, so I come to the conclusion of the my 40-45 minutes of the description and tips about the hiring fast and hiring right, including whether it can be seen as art or science, because then we need to see very, very carefully from our side that how it will be helpful in making our function more professional, with the speed and hiring at a right level of speed and right level. So I conclude here. Over to Noel and Vaishnavi. We'll definitely take questions, but before that, we would like to have a second poll, which Noel and Vaishnavi will launch, and then we will take few questions. I believe you have a poll questions in front of you.
All right, I request everyone to please, take the poll. It'll be amazing to, hear your inputs as well. Your participation definitely counts, and it will also give us a broader perspective in terms of what you guys think about these questions as well. All right, I see 50% of the participants have taken the poll. Another 60%. Okay, cool. All right. I request all of you to please complete taking the poll. We have 71% of the participants who've completed it. Another 30% to go. Please ensure that you complete the hiring. All right, so we have the results up, and I still see people taking, but I guess the poll is closed. So we have 77% of the people who've participated and 29% of them. So the question was, what is the biggest recruitment challenge faced by you? Where 29% say sourcing and attracting the right candidates has been a challenge. 4% have been on ensuring a good candidate experience. 60% of them have been last-minute candidate dropouts, and 3% and 4% have been on building a stronger employer brand, a shortage of skilled talent. Anything that you would like to add as a comment to this, Samir sir?
Yeah, I think I will speak for a minute on the last moment candidates dropout, because that seems to be a hotcake question kind of in everybody's mind. But I request actually people to put their questions side by, so then I can answer a few in a remaining time. Last minute candidate dropouts, yes, we are in a candidates market at this point of time. There was a time when companies used to advertise the position, and we used to get thousands of responses in at least in the region where we operate, Middle East, Southeast Asia, India, and Malaysia and Philippines and all. So that was the scenario. Now we are in a reverse scenario. There is a lot of work is coming in, the skills are required, and then people are available with the scarcity. So I would suggest that have a patience. The table is going to turn after some time, and that time is not far. My judgment, because I'm in the market, I can sense how the things are happening. It has come with the scenario of great resignations from Western countries. A lot of work is pushed to Asia. So definitely there is a good amount of work coming in, which is a good news. But then currently, what the need of the talent needs are cropping up. If we are going to have some slowdown after say 5 to 6 months, and already few companies have started stopping the recruitment speed or they are stopping the recruitment, or they are giving the kind of a second thought on while recruiting. Definitely software industry is still booming, but then according to me, the scenario will be very, very different by end of 22. So we need to be a bit patient, and that's something I'm going to experiment on that. I will let you know through my LinkedIn page also how that can be done differently. Last moment dropouts can be managed. But then, as I said during my talk, you need to really sense it, and that is the art you have to understand, and you need to really see whether you would like to give offer to the person who is already on a notice period. That strategy is boomeranging us. Whether we would like to really give an offer to the person who is already. If you are saying that you are joining tomorrow, then I can give an offer. That's a different scenario. But if you are saying that you come after 1 month, we are okay. A lot of things goes in that 1 month, and the person might not join you. So that could be the scenario. And he or she is not going to talk to you candidly. He will simply switch off their phone when you are calling. So we need to be careful while selecting whether we are taking a person whose value system is to give a commitment and fulfill that. And that value will never go off in any scenario, any situation. Because the similar kind of attitude person will show in your organization when he or she comes. So you'd like to get that person who is playing with the organization. So I think that's something which you need to think and really put your abilities to judge person's ability or behavior and mindset while taking the person.
Well, okay. Now comes the most awaited time, the questions. So let me so the questions are popping in, and may I start the questions, sir? Just in case, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I have Akshat is asking about few examples of position that are recurring. I tell you, the service functions are very susceptible for recurring. And I have seen in my career where I spent some time in automotive, the quality function was one of those that it's very difficult. The quality person is a customer representative in the company. He doesn't have authority, but all the responsibility, and that becomes very, very important.
Absolutely.
Wasim is asking, I would like to know how can I attract clients? I didn't understand the question. Is if it is the candidate, then employer branding we talk about, and then that attracting candidates we can do through the effective employer branding, and definitely usage of media. How to avoid proxy interview? Oh, I think it's a very Gomati is asking very interesting, and very recently I came to know about one methodology of proxy interviews. It's called leaping also. That because nowadays employees are giving interviews on web or on internet, and also joining work from home. So you hardly see the person all the time. In that scenario, how to do that? So you need to be very careful. You can use AI to really understand whether the person is really talking or not, or somebody else is leaping for him. So and those can be definitely seen. And I would suggest that when the person is joining, we need to have some kind of a checks whether the same person with the same qualification where we interviewed the person is coming on board. Work from home scenario has given really a tough time for us for such kind of things. How we can analyze anonymous person, okay, not disclosed, how we can understand the cultural fit. I talked about in my speech that how we can see the cultural fit and psychometric testing, and some what you can say, the interviewing techniques are there to understand, and that is called competency based interviewing, or you can ask the person to give the examples related to what he or she has done on behavioral front or mindset front. That you'll understand whether the person is really syncing with the values of the company. I believe Namrata is asking, Namrata Mehta, candidates having offer in hand from some other company attend the interview, negotiate on the basis of that. How do we handle such scenario? I believe that yes, current situation is very difficult, and if a person is asking more than what he or she is getting, yes, the situation is very difficult, but you can't go beyond a point. I think you have a negotiation ability to a particular level, because you are also attributing to the attrition if you're not keeping the internal parity. So it's a tough call. We have to decide the line where we will not go outside the budget what we have, and you have to be very clear with the person that we cannot offer more than what is required. I can understand one or two niche skills where you need to really negotiate hard, but then all other position, I think you need to have a clear strategy that you'll not go beyond the specs.
Perfect. I guess I couldn't agree more with you. So I guess the questions are just popping in. So I'll just pick up one question as well. So nowadays, we've seen many fake experiences added in the CV. How can we verify those?
Sorry, can you repeat this?
Sure. So there is a candidate who's asking us how, nowadays we have seen many fake experiences adding, into the CV. So how can we verify those?
Behavioral interview technique, behavioral event technique is called. That is something which people can learn about. If you ask those questions supporting the experience in that particular area, if somebody is talking about experience, we have to not ask only the experience domain knowledge, but how he or she has arrived to the decision making, how the person has completed that, what kind of a challenges he faced. If you ask those questions, I think you will come to know whether a person is really having those experiences or not.
Absolutely. Yes. And there's another question which says job portals do not support us, like they don't take any action against candidates who do not attend interview or fool us. Plus, sometimes if there are no responses to job postings, that also is a big issue.
People, I think there is we need to work as a professional body to work on this, that people don't attend after confirming that he or she is attending, the person doesn't come for the interview. I think we need to really start putting, we need to have some portal where we can blacklist people. And I think we need to take that step. Glassdoor is for the company, but at the same time, we need to really start thinking whether it is legal or not, but we need to have some brainstorm on that. We need to really start thinking about it. And as I said, that it will not be a candidate market all the time. And it is going to be very heavy price for those people who are not bothered to be behaving in a code of conduct.
Absolutely. And since we are already out of time, I'll take the last two questions. So do you have any tips for organizations who are still building their hiring process? I mean, where should they begin from?
I think, in fact, yesterday I was talking to one of the strategy person of top MNC. And I said that if you need to really attract the talent, you need to start creating the right visibility in a market. So before we start and go for the recruiting, we need to create a hype around your employer brand. And that is very important. And I think this is the world of creating brand. You can see if there is a car getting launched in the market, there is a lot of hype around car launch. And they talk about the different kind of variants of the car, then what kind of facilities they are providing, what kind of color options they have, what kind of efficiency the car is giving. All these things are creating the hype in the market about the car. I think in a very similar way, not same, we need to create an attraction towards employer. Let me give the example that how many people are really, how many people of our from this particular people who are participant has seen Google. Okay, they must have seen a Google on some videos, they have heard the names. But if somebody is saying that I have got a job in Google, people say, oh, wow. If somebody is saying that I'm working at Ferrari, oh, so wow. So this wow factor is coming from the branding. Even as a individual citizen, we know these brands, but we don't know how they are like employers. If somebody says Tesla, I'm working with Tesla, it's a pride for them. So they have created a right branding for them. And that's why people get attracted towards. So how our area for influence is important for us. We need to create, and that's why employer branding is a strategy. It cannot be thought by talent acquisition manager and just launch it. I think we need more strategic discussions around employer branding and create employer brand. I would suggest that there are many ways of doing it. There are rewards or there are awards around employer branding, how employer are for the employees. And if we can take a conscious decision of getting those into our hand and then create our employer brand, I think that would be very helpful to attract, to start with actually, where companies would like to really start the hiring into nascent stage.
Absolutely, Samir. So how soon do you forecast the candidate market to subside? This seems to be a global issue.
I would not say it's a subside, but it will correct the market. And I would say that January 23 would be definitely will be an equal opportunity kind of a month, where employers also will have equal right to see the candidates, and the equilibrium in I always say in life, equilibrium is very important. And I have seen equilibrium in organization, in families, in society, and that equilibrium will come. For just like that, like the economy has got a inflation, or the market goes up, market goes down. So the similar equilibrium will follow in next 5 to 6 months, that I can say the correct employee or employer market.
Absolutely, absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you, sir. And I just wanted to check as well in terms of how can startups hire right and fast when roles in startups are sometimes not clear and the brand is usually not attractive yet.
There are two ways, and people will find it a bit odd when I'm talking about this too. You can, for thought engine, okay, you have to hire two types of people. One, you hire very high-end potential employees who are freshers. Okay, because at least I can say that in India, there is a huge candidate pool is available who are freshers, who are engineers, who have done their management from MBA school. So freshers having good combination of engineering, maybe computer engineering or mechanical engineer or any other engineering background, plus management course. I think that would be a one category which will be extremely helpful for startup, because they will come at a cost which is affordable to startup. One. And secondly, we talk about gig economy. There are many people who have really taken a break from the corporate life after say 25 years, 20 years. So, but they are active in their working life. We can hire those people for the services from the domain expertise point of view, or those who are ready to learn new skills and contribute with their experience. So blending experience, thought process, and using it for the startup. I think that's something which will be a great combination for startup strategy for recruitment and taking people on board.
Definitely. I guess that's a strategy that we all look forward to, and I'm sure that all of these will be an add-on to progressively move up as well. But it's very sad to say. So thank you so much. I guess it was absolutely brilliant as a session, and it was. I guess the questions are just popping up. We do
in fact, very interesting, Noel. I will just mention about it. That
Please.
what I talked actually, Krishna Valley is supporting that. Why not to start a recruiter portal like Glassdoor? It is for the employer. We have to do it for employees also. So we can make each other aware that they beware of this person who is not good at his or her company. Absolutely.
I guess that's one definitely a point which will help the recruiters and give them a sigh of relief. I couldn't agree more, sir. But I guess we definitely should have another session with you for sure very soon, maybe.
Right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And it was absolutely indeed a pleasure talking to you today. And guys, before we wrap up this session, and unfortunately we let the speaker go, I'd also recommend that you go ahead and take a feedback, and this feedback will be essential to go ahead and also take in the input. So once you end the session, you will be getting a survey link. So it'll be amazing if we can also get the feedback and procure it as well in terms of how these can be projected as well in the near future. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Noel.
Thank you so much, sir. Truly appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Look forward to another action-packed session. Have a brilliant week ahead. And thank you so much. I'm signing off. Bye-bye.